I'm going to do 5 minutes on information architecture, particularly with regard to intranets. So let's start by imagining a really great website, good content, brilliant graphics, packed with really useful stuff. But here's the rub. Hardly anyone can find it. The few that do can't find their way around it to all that really good stuff. And this is the problem that information architecture addresses. Information architecture is about findability. So now let's think about Amazon or maybe eBay. If you Google anything you want to buy, they'll be on the hit list. And once you're on their site, you've no reason to leave. You can easily find your way to what it is you want. These guys have really put a lot of effort into their information architecture, and that's because an e-commerce site will fail if you can't find it or you can't find a way around it. You've got a choice and you'll go elsewhere. Contrast this with an intranet. It has a captive audience. If it can't find what it wants, it just has to take the time and the effort to find it. And in fact, they're being paid to do so. And this can be a significant cost to a company. In fact, companies like BT and IBM claim to have saved hundreds of millions by redesigning their intranets. So findability represents a huge opportunity. And if information architecture is the solution, then what exactly is information architecture? Well, it's several things, but primarily it's how the content is organised and how it's described and labelled so that it's navigable and searchable. Some aspects of information architecture are visible and other aspects are hidden. Take a look at this web page. We see that some information is represented by labels which briefly and succinctly describe the information that they link to. We see a high-level categorization of the information for the whole site and a low-level categorization within the subject area that this page belongs. We also see a search box. Behind these things are less visible things like metadata, controlled vocabularies, taxonomies. What are these things? Well, a taxonomy is just a technical name for a very familiar way of hierarchically classifying things into groups. Doing this helps us to build a mental map of where things are. It helps us to organise the information, and it can also help the search engine. Metadata is additional invisible information that is attached to the visible content. It can be used in a variety of ways, including to help search. For instance, it would be difficult for a search engine to find this image unless that image had some text attached to it. A controlled vocabulary addresses the problem of ambiguity or duplication when people use the same words for different things or different words for the same things. It's really just a closely defined set of predetermined words which we use for labelling and classification. So all this classification and labelling sounds like a lot of work. Who does it? Well, the most rigorously correct results are achieved when everything is centrally controlled by people with the right sort of personality. And for the most important and valuable content, that is probably the appropriate solution. However, this isn't usually practical for an entire intranet to be controlled in this way. An alternative way may be for the content authors themselves to do the categorization and labeling within a framework set by the information architects at the time they create the content. But the problem with predefined frameworks is that they can be slow to respond to user needs. So there's been a recent trend towards social classification, allowing users to tag information with their own uncontrolled categories and to make this tagging public so that others can use it to help their browsing and searching. Such a system is often called a folksonomy. So let's recap. Information architecture is about findability. And information architecture consists of systems to organise, label, navigate and search information. It has many components. However, among the key concepts are taxonomy, controlled vocabularies, metadata and social classification.